present, past, and future?
Yes, Mohammed is a yeah. Yes, so we have basically we have the first three main categories, which are present, past, and future. So then if we are to divide it into more categories, how can we divide it?
Present continuous, past continuous, present
Yes.
perfect, past perfect, future perfect.
Yes, very good. So those are the main categories which we can divide into, like there are 12 sets of tenses which we can find in English language, right? Okay, so then since all of you have a basic idea to what tenses are, we are going to move on to passive voice. Okay, so today the lesson is on passive voice. Right, so give me a second. I will share my screen with all of you. Right. Right. Is the screen shared for you? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
okay. Thank you very much. So then, if we move on to passive voice, so let's see what passive voice is first. Okay. Right. Then, before we move on to the structure of passive voice, can you tell me how, like, what sort of a structure do we use when we develop active voice sentences? What's the structure?
Subject, verb, and object.
Yes, very good. Well done. So then we use that, right? Okay. So when we do make sentences or active voice sentences, we of course use the structure, which is the subject, verb, and the object. So if we move on to how we are going to make the structure in passive voice, this is how the main structure is made in passive voice. Okay, so then there are two basic rules for converting sentences from active voice into passive voice sentences. So as we said before, there are 12 sentence patterns, and we can apply the same rule to, like, when we want to make into passive voice sentences. Okay, the first one is the places of the subject and the object in a sentence are interchanged for converting active voice into passive voice. That means in active voice sentence, we have the subject, verb, and the object. So then the object comes first, and then the subject is used as a verb in passive voice. Okay, so as an example, let's take a simple sentence. He is playing volleyball. So that is an active voice sentence. So if you want to put it into passive voice, what should we do first?
The football came as the subject.
Yes, very good. So football becomes the subject, and then we have to change the tense. Yes.
Verb form.
Yes, we have to change the verb tense. That means football. Since the category is present tense, we say football is being played. Very good. Football is being played by him. Yes, very good. So when it comes to passive voice, it's not compulsory to indicate the doer. That means the person who does the action. We can just simply say football is football is being played, right? So then we can also add by him. It's not compulsory, but there are some circumstances where we have to indicate the doer or else the person who does the action, right? And then here only third form of the verb, that means write, if it's right, then written. Play, played, right? Eat, eaten. Likewise, we use only the third form of the verb to use as the main verb in passive voice. Yeah. So then if it's like auxiliary verb, or like if it's used as a helping verb in passive voice, then there we use different rules and for different tenses. So we will be looking at these gradually. All right. Okay. So before we move on, is there any questions you want to clarify here with the structure to like how we make passive voice sentences? Okay, so then I feel like all of you are okay with it, right? Very good. So then we are going to move on to the other part. Right. Give me a second. Okay, yes. So then if we move on to present simple tense, yes. So if you think about this category, the auxiliary verbs which are used in passive voice here are am, is, and are. Okay, so then let's look at these examples here. He writes a letter. So without looking at the passive voice section, can you tell me what is the subject and the object? If we take this sentence, he writes a letter.
He was
Subject
subject.
is a letter. Object is by him.
No, I'm asking about the active voice sentence. So if you think about this sentence only, he writes a letter. So can you tell me what the subject and the object is?
Subject is
Object is letter.
Yes, very good. Well done. So now you totally understand how the active voice sentence is structured. So as you all know, we have the subject, verb, and the object. Then when it comes to passive, we can say that a letter is written by him, or else you can just omit the subject here by saying a letter is written. Yeah. Okay, so then if we move on to the negative sentence, which is he does not write a letter. So how can you make it into passive? Then we can say, since we have an active voice sentence which is negative, right? We can also say a letter is not written by him, right? So then we are going to move on to a question active voice sentence, like a question sentence. Yes, does he write a letter? So how can we make it into passive? Then we say, is a letter written by him? Because here we move it to, right, here what we do is we first make the passive voice sentence, right? A letter is written by him. So then we make it into a question. Is a letter written by him? Yeah, so that is how we make the question passive voice sentence, right? And then if you move on to the next example given here, we have they buy books. The first sentence, it was a the subject was a singular one, But here the subject is what? When you say they buy books, the subject
Plural.
is, yes, well done. The subject is plural. And if we are to make the passive sentence of it, we say books are bought, because we use the past participle of the verb buy to use here. Books are bought by them. Right? So we can also say books are bought, and we can just simply stop there. That's fine. Yes, all right. So then if you look at the other example, he helps me and I am helped by him. Okay, so let's look at the other example here. We make chairs. So we interchange the subject and the object. So object is chairs in active voice. So it comes front, and then chairs are made by us. Okay, so that is how we make passive voice sentence in simple present tense. Yes, Hasina, is there a problem? Any question?
No, ma'am, by mistake.
Okay, no worries. It's okay. Right. Then let's move on to present continuous tense. Right. So can you tell me when do we use present continuous tense in English language, if you can recall?
Ongoing activities.
Yes, very good. We use present continuous tense when there's activities which are happening at the moment, right? So in the present, you can see the action happening. So then, of course, we use present continuous tense. So, sorry, tense. We can use, we can identify present continuous tense by words such as at the moment, now, right? So if you see all those words in a sentence, then definitely you can say that this sentence belongs to present continuous tense. Okay. So then if you look at the examples here, active voice and passive voice. Let's look at the first example. She is eating a mango. So that means at this moment, you can see that she is eating a mango, right? So then if we have to make it into passive, we can say a mango, because here it is used as an object in active voice sentence. So we take it as the subject when it comes to passive, is being eaten by her. Okay. Then it's the same when it comes to negative as well. Okay, she is not eating a mango. Then we can say a mango is not being eaten by her. Yeah, so then if you look at this question here, is she eating a mango? So again, we have to make it into passive first, and then of course we can make it in we can make it as a question sentence here. All right, let's see. Is a mango being eaten by her? So that is how we make the passive here, right? So the first sentence which we discussed was active voice sentences, like it was active voice sentence. And then of course, we are going to move on to plural sentences. So let's look at the first example given here. We can say it says here, they are washing shirts. And when it comes to passive, we can say shirts are being washed by them, right? And you are disturbing me. So if when we want to make it into passive, we can say that I am being disturbed by you. So when it comes to present continuous, the structure which you want to remember is that when we make it into passive voice, we use am, is, are with the word being because it indicates the continuation or a progression of an action. Yes, so then if we are to discuss the structure, then of course we can say subject plus am is are being plus the past participle of the verb plus the object. Okay, so that is the structure for present continuous tense passive voice sentences. All right. Then let's look at the last example given here. We are decorating the room. So we can say that the room is being decorated by us. Okay. So do you have any questions up to now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, right. Good. Now let's move on to the other section. So here we have present perfect tense. Then here again we have auxiliary verbs used in passive voice, which is has and have with been. But here we have used BEEN. Sorry, right? So we have used BEEN, not BEING. So that is like whenever you do some activities in passive voice, that is what you need to remember. If it is continuous, like if the passive sentences are being made in continuous sentences, we use BEING. If it is the perfect tenses, we use BEEN, right? So that is what you need to remember. Then let's look at the question, the like examples here. He has finished the work. Right? So then, how can we make it into passive? The work, since it like functions as an object in active voice sense, so we take it in front, right? The work has been finished by him. Yes, so this is how we continue with the active voice as well as passive voice sentences. So then if it's like a sentence which has negation, then we can say as an example here, he has not finished the work. Then we can use the same method to make a passive voice sentence by saying the work has not been finished by him. Okay. And she has bought cars. So if you are to make it into passive, we can say chairs have been bought by her. Or else we can just stop by saying chairs have been bought. So here it doesn't matter whether we have indicated the doer or the person who does the action or not, right? They have started a business. A business has been started by them. Okay, right. So do you need any clarifications here in present perfect tense? Any questions? Okay, all right. Then moving on. Okay, right. So first of all, we have discussed the present simple or like the present tenses and how we are to make the passive voice in it. Okay, so then afterwards we are going to move on to past tense. So what's the difference between present and past tenses? What's the difference between present and past tense? What is present and what is past? How can you indicate the difference? Okay, so this is what I was looking for. Yes.
Present tense is the activity is happening now. Past tense is or the activity is happened already.
Yes, well done. That was exactly what I was looking for, right? So present tense means you can see the action happening at the moment, like in the present. But if we are to talk about actions which have happened, like already done in the past, then those are called past tense sentences. Okay. So here,
ma'am, what's the difference between simple past and perfect, present perfect? Which situation we can use?
right. So Putri, you're asking about simple past and past perfect, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So when you think about simple past, that means 100% the action has been done. Okay. So if you think about past perfect, that means the action has happened a bit in the past, but still you can see the result in the present. So that's what the difference between simple past and past perfect. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it clarified?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. Then no worries. Right. So that's the main difference which we can see in simple past and past perfect, right? So you all know that we make simple past with we make simple past sentences with was and were because we turn is and are into was and were. Yes. Okay. Let's look at the first example given here. He bought a car, right? A car was bought by him, right? Then he did not buy a car. A car was not bought by him because we use the structure as subject, was over, and the past participle of the verb plus the doer or the subject, right? Then let's see if it's like a question sentence. Again, we have to follow up the same method, right? And did he buy a car? So that is a question in active voice sentence. But if we want to ask a question in passive voice, we have to say, was a car bought by him, right? So that is how we make the sentences. And the other example here is she decorated the walls. Okay, so we can make it into passive by saying the walls were decorated by her. Okay, right. Then before moving on to the slide of past continuous tense, can you tell me how we can make it a past continuous tense? Okay, let's say he was playing football. So then how can we make it into passive?
Using been.
So can you tell me the sentence then?
Football was being played by him.
Yes, very good. And what is the, can you spell being? What being do we use?
ING.
Yes, very good. We use B-E-I-N-G. So you can distinctly remember, like, passive voice is really easy if you just remember the rules. Yes. If it's like continuous tense, of course, definitely you have to use B-E-I-N-G. If it is the perfect tenses, we have to use B-E-E-N, right? Then easily you can remember how to make passive voice sentences. Okay, all right. Then let's see this next step. Yeah, so this is exactly what I talked to you about. Past continuous tense. Auxiliary verbs used in passive voice was being and were being, right? So if it's like a sentence or a negative sentence and also a question, right? Was she wearing a shirt? Was a shirt being washed? Sorry, was she washing a shirt? Was a shirt being washed by her? Right? So we can ask a question like this one as well. Okay. Then let's look at the example here with a plural subject. They were enjoying the party. The party was being enjoyed by them. Okay, right. So then let's move on to the next category, which is past perfect tense. Okay, so without looking at the slide, I want you to tell me how we are going to use past perfect tense sentences into passive, right? So the sentence is, they had won the competition. So how can we make it into passive? They had won the competition.
The competition had been won by them.
Yes, very good. The competition had been, B-E-E-N, right? So as I said before, if it's like a continuous sentence, we use B-E-I-N-G. If it's like the perfect tense, we use B-E-E-N, right? Well done. So that is what it is. And then let's move on to the next part, which is the past perfect tense. So as you can see here, let's look at the example. They had won the competition. The competition had been won by them. Yes, well done. So if it's like a question, we can say, had they won the competition, which is in active voice sentences. And if we are to use it as passive, then we can say, had the competition been won by them. Okay. So then she had passed the exam. The exam had been passed by her. Okay. Then of course we have, the thief had stolen the money. The money had been stolen by the thief. Yes. So this is the basic structure which we need to follow when it comes to passive voice sentences, right? Then we have the modal verbs. So if we are using modal verbs in a sentence, right, it has to be followed by the be verbs, which is can be, will be, would be, must be, should be, and could be. Right? So let's look at the example here. You must wear a hat. Sorry, you must wear a hard hat in this area. Yes. So then hard hat is the object. So we take it front, hard hats. So we have a modal verb which is must. When it is changed into hard hats must be worn in this area, right? So I'll be showing you some examples. So just the time being, let's look at this example here. Okay. And then so you know that in active voice sentences, we have 12 categories, right? So we have the subject, verb, object. We have simple tenses, continuous tenses, perfect tenses, perfect continuous tenses. But in passive voice, of course, these following tenses cannot be converted into passive. So you need to keep this in mind. Okay. So we don't have present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous, future continuous. Also, the sentences having intransitive verbs. Okay. Yes. So then this is what basically passive voice is all about. Okay. So I'm going to show you a small video where it will give you a sort of an idea to what passive voice is. Okay. So give me a second. Wait, I'll share the sound as well. Is the video visible to you?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes.
Yes, so let's look at the situation here and then let's discuss afterwards, okay?
Jerry, this is the third time you've been late this week. You were needed in that meeting today. Fortunately, the deal was done, but it almost didn't happen.
I'm really sorry, but I was stuck in traffic. My car was sitting in the same spot for 30 minutes.
If you're getting stuck in traffic every day, then you should leave the house earlier.
I know, but that isn't the problem. Today was the first time that I was stuck in traffic. And it wasn't normal rush hour traffic either.
What do you mean?
Today, traffic was stopped by a zebra.
Zebra.
Yeah, I saw it. The zebra walked right in front of my car. It was almost hit by another car. Other animals were seen on the freeway too. It was crazy.
You expect me to believe that you were delayed by a zebra?
It's true. It was talked about on the radio. You should listen to the report. It is thought that the animals escaped from the zoo.
I'm going to have to check out your story. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now. But what about yesterday? You were an hour late.
Yesterday, I was driving to work when my car was stopped by a policeman. I was pulled over, and the policeman told me I was under arrest.
Really? Why?
The policeman said that my car had been seen at the scene of a crime.
It sounds like you're making up stories. Did that really happen?
It's all true. When I was pulled over, the policeman asked me to get out of the car. My hands were handcuffed behind my back. He said that my car had been seen on the camera of a gas station that had been robbed.
Well, you made it to work somehow. How did you get away?
The policeman got a call on his radio saying that the robbers had been caught by another policeman. They were being held in custody. The policeman let me go, but half an hour had already passed. I drove to work as quickly as I could.
Well, if that's true, then I understand. But what about Monday? I remember you coming in late then, too.
That was because my car was stolen. I woke up Monday morning and my car was gone. The police were notified immediately. I was forced to drive my wife's car and drop her off at her workplace, which took some extra time.
I see. Why didn't you tell me?
It wasn't a big deal at the time. My car was found by the police a few hours later, and I was only 15 minutes late to work.
Okay, but try to be on
I
time from now
don't-
on. I need to be able to rely on you, especially for meetings like the one we had today.
I promised to try to be on time, but I need you to understand that none of these things were my fault. I mean, I was held up by a zebra. How could I have predicted that? These things happened to me, and there was nothing I could do to avoid them.
Yes, I agree, if your stories are true. But come on, they're a little unbelievable.
Well, they're true. I hope you won't hold them against me.
The men who had been robbing the gas stations in the area have been arrested by the police. They had stolen the car of a local man, but they were forced to go on foot once the stolen vehicle was found by the police. The robbed cash hasn't been recovered yet. The robbers are now being questioned by the police. It is hoped that the money will be finally recovered from them. More details will be provided soon.
So his story was true.
And earlier today, some animals escaped from the zoo. One of the animal feeders had a seizure right when they were opening the animal cages. And the animals were released from their cages by mistake. The animals were recaptured by the zoo and they were put back into their cages. The animal feeder is now being treated in the hospital after collapsing in the zoo.
I'm going to call him right now.
Hello?
Hi, Jerry. It's Carlos. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I just watched the news. They were talking about how a car was stolen and how the animals were accidentally released. I want you to know that I trust you and feel like I can rely on you.
Thanks. I appreciate you saying that.
And Jerry,
Yeah?
in the future, I must be notified immediately when something happens to you.
Sure. I will notify you immediately from now on.
We use the passive voice when the action is more important than the person who does it. We form the passive voice with the verb to be plus past participle.
My car was stolen.
The object of the active sentence becomes the subject in the passive sentence. The subject of the active sentence becomes the agent. A zebra stopped the traffic. The traffic was stopped by a zebra.
Right. So as you can see, this is the structure which is being used when it comes to passive voice, right? So let's look at the active voice sentence, which is a zebra stopped the traffic. So the subject is the zebra and the traffic is the object, right? So then if we move it into passive voice sentence, the traffic was stopped by a zebra. Then the zebra becomes the agent. Yes, so that is how, this is the basic structure when it comes to passive voice.
People think that the animals escaped from the zoo. It is thought that the animals escaped from the zoo.
Right. So this is the present, simple present tense. The active voice sentence is people think that the animals escaped from the zoo. So we can say it is thought that the animals escaped from the zoo. Okay.
The doctors are treating the animal feeder in the hospital.
right? So all these sentences was used in the previous section or the scenario. Yes, so this is actually they are trying to explain the active and the passive voice sentence, right? So then let's look at the passive voice sentence here.
The animal feeder is being treated in the hospital. The police have arrested the robbers. The robbers have been arrested by the police.
We needed you in that meeting today. You were needed in that meeting today.
Right. We needed you in that meeting today. So then we can make you were needed in that meeting today, right? Okay.
The police were holding the robbers in custody. The robbers were being held in custody by the police.
Right. So let's look at the example here. This is an important one. In here, the sentence, it says, the police were holding the robbers in custody. So then if you move it into passive, we can say the robbers were being held in the custody. So here we need to indicate by the police, right? So, I mean, of course, if we even like remove this one, you know that like this is of course in the police station, yes, and also maybe the police, right? So, but since this is an important event, we need to indicate who does the action or the doer. Okay.
He said that the police had seen my car on the camera of a gas station. He said that my car had been seen on the camera of a gas station.
We'll provide more details soon. More details will be provided soon.
So can you see here? We don't have past perfect continuous. We don't have future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous in passive voice sentences, right?
You must notify me immediately when something happens to you. I must be notified immediately when something happens to you.
Yes. So then if you think about the modal verbs, we can say active voice, you must notify. That means you have to tell me what is happening. Yes. So you have to indicate what is happening. You must notify me immediately when something happens to you. Then if we make it into passive voice, we can say, like we have to say, I must be notified. It is compulsory. Yes, I must be notified immediately when something happens to you, right? So that is how we basically make passive voice sentences. So there was a question asking what intransitive verbs are, right? So then transitive verbs means like they don't have an object, right? In a sentence, they don't have like the object. So as an example, we can say address, borrow, or like bring, discuss. Yes. So all these kinds of verbs are indicated as transitive verbs. Okay. So let's look at an example. If you like to indicate to explain a bit more. It requires. Okay, so there's another question. What are the situations that we have to? Okay, just give me a second. If you think about intransitive words, those are verbs that does not allow a direct object. Okay. So if you think about some examples, agree, right? I agree upon something. Like I agree on passing on the report, right? I don't say I agree book, right? So that is, those sort of verbs are called intransitive verbs, which does not use direct objects. Okay, so that's the difference. Right, any other questions?
Ma'am, can we get these slides?
That one, of course, I have to just confirm it with madam. Just give me a second, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Pute, the thing is, today actually it's my first day doing lectures for all of you. So then, actually I need to just check it out. Pute, can you tell me which batch all of you are from? Then I will let you know.
Third batch.
Sorry, Pute?
Third batch.
Third batch. Okay. So you are from BTech, right?
No, ma'am. BSc.
Yes.
BSc. Okay. Give me
Also
yes.
there.
BTech student also here, ma'am.
Okay. BTech and BSc both. Okay. Right.
BIS also there, madam.
BTech.
Group 4
BTech, BSc and BI.
Okay. BTech, BSE and BIS. Anyway, I think all of you are getting the lecture recording. Okay. So I'll just confirm, and batch 3 and 4. And I will let you know. Okay. Right. So BS, BIS, BI. Okay. BSc and BTech. Okay. All right. Yes. So then there was another question. Give me a second. Okay. So then usually the slides are also okay. Yes. Then of course you can get the slides as well as the video. Okay. Right. Any other questions which you wanted to ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
If we use a date to the end of active voice sentence, is it change in the passive voice sentence?
Pute, can you give an example to like what sort of an example you're looking for?
He is playing volleyball. He was playing volleyball yesterday.
Okay.
Is it change in passive voice?
Yes. So then he was playing volleyball yesterday. That means obviously it's in past tense, right? So then if we put it into passive, what happens is football was being played by him yesterday. You just add the word yesterday, that's all.
Okay. No, state must change.
Change in the sense like because when you see the word yesterday, you obviously know that the action has been happening in the past, right? So like the words such as at the moment, now, so then it indicates that the action is happening in the present. So likewise, so then it's easy for you to understand that the action, like how to put it into passive.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, right. Right. Is there any other questions which you wanted to ask or clarify?
Ma'am.
Yes.
How to keep the rest of the
sentence, which mean time, place, and with doer. Doer should be
the doer. Yes, the doer.
doer.
Yes, let's put it. The doer means the person who does the action. Okay. So basically, let's take the first example, the same example. He was playing football yesterday, right? So when it comes to active voice, I told you earlier that the structure is subject, verb, and the object, and then we use the day or the time or the like afternoon or evening or all the additional words it has to come after the structure. That means the subject, that means the person who does the action, has to come first. Then we have the verb, then we have the object. That's when we use, afterwards we can use the date or the season or whatever. That's how the structure goes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, now what is there? Right. And yes, any other question?
What is the homework, madam?
So can you say it again? I didn't hear you. What was it?
What about FCB homeworks, madam?
Homework.
Yes.
Right. It's a good question. Actually, I wanted to share this one as well. I hope all of you are have registered to future bridge careers, right?
Yes, madam.
Yes. So then,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So give me a second. I will share the screen with all of you. Here. So future careers bridge. If we go to grammar part, yes, if you go to grammar part, yes, grammar lesson 1 or 2. Okay, so here, no, not this one. Wait. Oh. There was a section where I found. Okay, so this is even if you go to the web page, there are activities where you can find, but what I want you to do is, since we have gone through the passive voice sentences, the structures, right? I want you to write your own examples. Like, so, wait, I'll share the screen with you and show it to you, what I'm, asking you to do. Okay. Right, this is like this. So as you all know, there are 12 sentence patterns in active voice sentence, but there's only half of it in passive. So I want you to write an active voice sentence first, and then you write a passive voice sentence next. That means when you write your own active voice sentence, you have to turn it into passive sentences, right? And if you can't make it into passive, you can just say not applicable. That's fine, right? But for sentences which you can, turn it into passive, you have to create the passive voice sentences. Okay. So that is the homework which I want you to do. Is it clear? Do I need to explain it again?
We create in a paper or in FCB.
Yeah, you can write in paper. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no worries. Yes, any other questions?
Madam, we don't need to submit to you, or it's our self-activity.
bro.
It's actually homework, which it's like a practice test for you to understand. And like, because when you do it alone, when you try to come up with your own examples, then that's when you get the questions or the problems which you encounter. Then of course it's easy for you to learn the structure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no worries. Yes, so I'll explain it again. So I think the screen is shared. Yes. So what I want you to do is, you have to write 12 active voice sentences and passive voice sentences according to that. But if you cannot turn, if you cannot convert into passive voice, then you can say not applicable, but the others, of course, you have to create your own sentences. Okay. So that is the homework which you need to do for yourself. Okay, for you to practice.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions with it?
Madam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, just if you don't mind, give me a brief guidelines how to get into FCB, because I do not see those activities. I only got these Zoom links to my email, and I'm unable to find how to join into FCB page. Will it be possible with you?
I think that's even something which I need to go through myself, because actually I started working today itself.
I understand. No problem. Then we have to figure it out and.
Yes, because I have to.
Awesome.
I had to. I had to learn by myself as well. So then afterwards, I'll be able to help you guys out. Since
Yeah,
it's
I
like
know.
yeah.
Do these activities also include in our credits? After submission, do we get credits, or you are giving us the homework for us to practice only?
Yes, this is actually for you to practice only. Because
Okay,
yes, because I know for a fact that like if you try to keep developing your own sentences, that's when the problem occurs, and that's when you learn a lot. Like really,
I understand.
it's
Yeah.
like it's practical actually. That's why.
Okay, thank you so much.
No worries. Yes, any other questions? Okay. Praveen, thank you very much. That's like an energy boost to me. Thank you. Okay. Right. Yes. So I think it's the end of the session now, and it's nice to meet all of you. So sorry that I couldn't turn off the camera here, because there's no webcam, but on Thursday I'll try to switch on my camera so that you can see me as well. And yes, so I'll try to be more productive the next day, because I need to even go through the links and documents as well. All right, so then thank you all for joining in, and if you have any questions, you can contact me, and yes, include in LMS. So then I'll get back to you on that as well. So then thank you all for joining in. Have a nice day, and I'll see you all on Thursday then.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice evening.
No worries.
Thank
Stay
you, madam.
safe, all of you. No
Thank
worries.
you,
Puttu,
thank
stay
you so much,
safe.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
No worries, Puttu. Stay safe,
Thank
all of
you, ma'am.
you.
Thank you, madam.
Stay safe, Puttu. Bye. Take
Thank
care.
you,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No worries, Puttu. Stay safe. Bye.
Ma'am.